In fulfilling this dream, our goal was to make this complex network of parks more accessible and more understandable to the people of Southern California.
I'd like to thank the Creator for this beautiful day that we have today, and thank Him for bringing us all here in a safe way. We ask Him to take us home in the same way. We'd like to thank Him for our elders, the ones from where the wisdom comes to teach our children, and we thank Him for our children. We thank Him for our women, who are our life givers, and we thank Him for our young adults and the ones that are mainly in other countries right now fighting for people's rights and liberties and freedoms. We ask the Creator to watch over us, take care of us, and we thank Him for all that's to come. I hope.
But today, we have what's great about America. We have agencies working together on the federal, state, and local level, working together on a single vision to bring something to the people of America, and particularly the Southern California region.
Commemorating the participation in Southern California Edison's Savings by Design program to recognize the Anthony C. Beilenson Interagency Visitor Center at Gillette Ranch. For monumental achievement in energy efficiency, they've exceeded California's energy efficiency standards, Title 24, by 36%.
I had the pleasure of talking to the four women who were working on the whole design of what you're going to see when you go inside. And they were telling me that their whole approach was about consensus, and an issue would come up and people would say, well, that issue matters to me, but not that much, so you can roll me on this one. Or, no, I really care about that issue. And so they were able to work through all of the different points of potential contention, and that is what's going to be the recipe for success. When every organization recognizes that it doesn't matter who gets credit, it's about the common vision, then that's what makes it work.
And so the property here had zoning for 5,000 or more students, and we got it down to 650. We were sued, went up on appeal, and the county lost on appeal, which is a good thing. Sometimes it's good when we lose. And then the lawyer for the Ashoka University came to my office, and kind of like that famous moment when John Kennedy during the Cuban Missile Crisis got two messages from Khrushchev. One was belligerent and one was a little more conciliatory. This lawyer came into my office with the intent of saying, well, now we wanted to reevaluate the whole zoning thing here. 650 is not going to work for us. But then he let slip during the course of the meeting, would there be any interest on the part of the county in buying the property? Now, up until that moment, Ashoka had never, ever wanted to sell this property. In fact, went to the legislature to get legislation to prevent you from condemning the property because they never wanted to sell it. And I said to the lawyer, I said, are you speaking for yourself or are you speaking for your client? And he said, well, I wouldn't be just speaking for myself if I mentioned that, would I? So made a call to my real estate broker, Joe Edmiston, and he said, let's seize this opportunity, and the rest is history.
I am just thrilled to be in this beautiful place on this beautiful morning with swallows all around and wildflowers still in bloom. It's been a genuine privilege and joy for me to be able to claim the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area as the geographic heart of the 41st Assembly District for the past 5.5 years, and with King Gillette Ranch rightly referenced as the crown jewel. And today marked by the opening of this visitor center that marries the long history of the site with the rare attainment of a LEED Platinum status, making the Beilenson Center a model of sustainability and unique in the entire National Park Service system. As Zev and others have said, it could never have happened but for the strong working partnerships that have been forged between the National Park Service, California State Parks, the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, and the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority, and a parks community that never, ever gave up on the dream that the property must belong to the public.
That they have been able to put resources together to restore these buildings and present a wonderful public facility for all the residents in this area as well as all the visitors. I also think about what wonderful things can happen when people come together. And this is an example of it. And we're going to have the synergy of the state and the National Park Service here in one facility. And good things are going to happen from that also. We need our environment. We need to have this beautiful land. As Homo sapiens, we may be so intelligent and above all the other creatures on Earth, but we do still need to be connected to nature. And while we can live in cities, on pavement, we still have to have that connection. And it's that same restoration of our souls, of our spirit that we need to have. When we are troubled, we need our loved ones, we need our faith, but we also need nature. And it's because we have such good people that have come together that helps us to restore our faith, that helps us to build our spirits, that helps our future generations to have good lives too, as the great quality of lives that we have. We have a lot of indebtedness to the people, to the elected officials, to the heads of our park services. We have a lot of debt to pay to them, and a lot of gratitude, but it is true, it could never happen without everyone here pushing for it and helping to back us up when we move forward.
I can't think of a better name for this Interagency Visitor Center than honoring my good friend, former Congressman Anthony C. Beilenson. Tony, did you ever believe in 1978 that you would be back out here looking at a Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area that sprawls on both north and south of the 101 from the Hollywood Bowl up through Ventura County? I had heard statistically that 55% of the land in the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area now is in protected open space with a combination of federal, state, and local park ownership. What an amazing legacy you have achieved.
Here's the man who's the architect of the federal legislation to establish the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area. And what an outstanding idea. A national park on the fringe right here for the great megalopolis of Los Angeles. 35 million visitors every year. The most used element of the National Park Service. No other megalopolis in the world has a national park right on its doorstep. What a tremendous idea. But the idea isn't just to create the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area, but to get the funding to protect the land. And Tony worked with several administrations to secure well over $150 million through the Land and Water Conservation Fund. It is entirely fitting that this be the Anthony C. Beilenson Visitor Center. It goes along with the Anthony C. Beilenson Park, located just a mile from where I live, that both epitomize his dedication to the environment and to recreation. Every day, children and visitors and adults and travelers from all over the world are going to come to this visitor center, and they're going to learn about the habitat, the wildlife, the ecology, the archaeology, and the cultural significance of the Santa Monica Mountains. And then they're going to go out and see some of the most beautiful land in the world. This visitor center will give children from all over the Los Angeles area a chance to learn about the land and about the importance of preserving our environment. And here they will have over 500 miles of trail, including the Backbone Trail, so those of you who are in much better shape than I ever dreamed of being can hike from Santa Monica all the way to Point Mugu. When Tony handed me the baton of representing what was then called the 24th District, I realized that I had a real responsibility. And I made it my responsibility to continue his fight to preserve the land in the Santa Monica Mountains. And one most very important element of that fight was when Fran Pavley and I and so many of you gathered together to talk to the Army Corps of Engineers in a little private discussion of about 800 people and stopped the permit that would have allowed the construction of a city right in the middle of the Santa Monica Mountains. And instead, the Amundsen Ranch is now protected parkland. Fran, it worked out well.
I don't have a flag. I don't have a resolution. I don't have a proclamation. But I have my eyes and my ears and my memories. And as I sit here looking at this, seeing that sign as we came down the road, the scenic view begins here. And the notion that we're sitting in the middle of this enormous urban area and hear the wind whistling through the trees and actually hear birds and have unbelievable view of trees and horses and rangers.
This is of course a very happy and special day for many, many reasons, but there are two reasons I think that are most significant. The first is that after so many years of so many people dreaming, planning, and finally establishing the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area, and of the many additional years of securing the funds, getting the appropriations with which to acquire properties in these mountains, it feels finally as though a most important piece, a central component of this park, has fallen into its proper place. Our new visitor center is exactly where it should be, where everyone involved in bringing this park into existence over all these many years had always hoped that it would be, in this beautiful place, in the heart, in the center of the mountains, equally accessible from 101 freeway on the north and the Pacific Coast Highway on the south, and virtually equidistant between the eastern end of the National Recreation Area and the lands on its western edge. It feels as though we have finally come home. And secondly, although we did not know it and probably could not have foreseen it at the time, when Congress back in 1978 determined that there was a national interest in protecting and preserving the Santa Monica Mountains, that finding set the stage for what may be the most successful federal, state, and local conservation partnership in the nation, which you've heard a lot about today, and deservedly so, and a model for others to emulate in coming years, when it's likely to be increasingly common for all of those governmental entities acting individually, as they usually did in the past, to have inadequate resources to do the job on their own, but by working together and combining their human and their financial resources, as you have in these mountains, much more can and will be done to save and protect our remaining natural resources that would have been possible if each agency had to have been on its own. So we welcome one another, the National Park Service, California State Parks, the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, the Mountains Recreation and Conservation Authority, and we look forward to a future of working together to accomplish more than we could possibly accomplish alone. As all of you who have been involved with these parks know, the fact that we can celebrate today's milestone results from the inspired dreamers who envisioned these lands being preserved for all the people, for all time, and the devoted and untiring work of a great many men and women, some of whom came to this undertaking before we did, some of whom have since worked hand in hand with many of us to enlarge and to enhance it. And on an occasion like this, it's appropriate, I think, as many of our former speakers have also indicated, that we remember some of those individuals who helped greatly to make today possible. My own involvement, of course, has been largely with the National Recreation Area, and I would feel it improper to stand up here without at least mentioning, albeit much too briefly, some of those who contributed so much to our park and were responsible, each in her or his own way for our being able to feel so encouraged now and optimistic about the future. This park originated, as I noted, and as others have as well, as the dream of a small, inspired group of men and women who worked for many years before most of us were elected to office, before their vision became a reality, to establish a federal presence here in these mountains. So we thank those men and women, Margot Feuer, Jill Swift, Dave Brown, our great friend who's with us today, fortunately from the Sierra Club. In absentia, the person I consider to be our park's greatest friend, the late Sue Nelson, who's not been mentioned today, but certainly so far as I was concerned, was the leading individual who came to me and helped us get this park put together. These women, many and men and many others, came to me with their dream and helped us make it a reality. And I hope that someday there will be some public notice here at our visitor center of the work of these founding mothers and fathers of the park. Establishing this national recreation area is by far the proudest legacy of my years in the Congress, because parks are forever, because all the land we acquire and will acquire will always be here, undeveloped and available to all people forever. It's been more than 30 years now since the National Recreation Area was established, much longer, of course, since the state parks system was established and created. And there's much more work ahead of all of us to build on the great amount that's already been accomplished. And it's very reassuring to me, and I hope to all of us, to all of you, that we are, all of us, finally working together to achieve our mutual goals. We here understand what these parks, what all this parkland is and means. We know the value and the importance of the work that we have done and will continue to do. But what's more important is what it means and what it will mean to the thousands and thousands of others who have already discovered it and to those who will discover it, our children and our grandchildren and their children and grandchildren, and its meaning to them in the years to come. As California and Los Angeles keep growing, getting bigger, more crowded, more developed, these lands we have saved and will continue to save will become ever more valuable, ever more necessary, and life-giving and spirit-lifting. And all of us who have worked to bring it all about must know and must understand what a wonderful and lasting thing we have all of us together done. But there is more to be done, and now we shall be doing it together. So let us rededicate ourselves under the strong and stalwart leadership of our congressmen, our state and local representatives, our superintendents, and the dedicated men and women of our National Park Service, the California Park System, of the Conservancy, and of the MRCA to nurture and to protect and to build and to continue to strengthen support for our parks in the years ahead.
So we're here today not only to dedicate this state-of-the-art facility, but also to say, hey, Southern California, here's your gateway to the largest urban national park in this country, to the Mediterranean ecosystem that's found in only 4 other places in the world, and to more than 500 miles of trails, to your own personal retreat, away from the traffic, fast pace of Southern California, and we're here, right here in your backyard. We hope that you could start your visit with us at this new Interagency Visitor Center.
Well, the greatest thing is it's so close to our community and it's so accessible. We have a number of opportunities. People can come here directly, drive directly. Students can come with a number of organizations, tours, but also there's a possibility, we're looking into the potential for some type of service that will shuttle or trolley our own facilities to see if it's feasible. But the facility is close. It's right one exit from City Hall. and it is a great, great, great location for our community.
No, I'm real happy. I remember this land from decades back, and it's so great that although all the area around it has kind of grown up slowly and some of it's become urbanized, this has pretty much stayed the same, and that's just the way it should be.
Well, it's absolutely, it's overwhelming, because what could have been here and what is here is just, this is like a dream. I mean, the thought that this could have been 6,000 students here roaming around was more than a nightmare. And the area is so fantastic. When we were sitting in there during the speeches, you could look over the mountains here and you could see the clouds. What a fantastic view. I mean, I don't think the people here in California really know what we have. For that matter, I don't think that people in Calabasas really know what we have here. And they ought to get over here and take a look at this. It's really fantastic.
Well, I think that you could really learn how to, like, where else you can go around the park besides just, like, hanging out here, because it's really nice and you can have a picnic back there. But inside you could, like, see where to go camping or what trails are nice around the place. So it's like a good focus place. It's a good, like, focus center for the rest of the park.
Well, a ton of my friends love to go hiking. It's just sort of a thing where a group of 20 kids or so will go hiking, but because this area is so huge, there aren't that many known trails. Like, I think I've been on 2 or 3 separate, but there's so many, and so being exposed to them and being able to see them on the map and, like, where they are in location and where you live, and so it's a really good learning experience and, like, encouraging you to get out there.
We're here at the King Gillette Ranch celebrating the Anthony Beilenson Visitor Center that is the center of the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area. We're delighted to have Congressman Tony Beilenson with us, our mayor, Mary Sue Maurer, and
thank you.
You must have a comment or two about what it feels like to be in a place like this.
It feels awfully good. It feels good being in a place like this, even if it weren't named after me. Because this is really a very special area here that folks in Calabasas especially have done so very much to enhance and to make sure that we were able to save it for all of the people for all of the time. And we're grateful to the Calabasas folks, especially, as I've said, for being such good stewards of this land before we got here and after we got here, and saving additional properties we otherwise would have lost. But this is a wonderful national recreation area. It's now amalgamated and being run jointly with the state parks and with the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. And all together, I think we're going to be able to do an even better job in the future for saving these lands for posterity than we've been able to do in the past. So we congratulate you folks for what you've done. We're very, very happy and pleased to be here in the heart of the Santa Monicas in Calabasas.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Well, I just wanted to let everyone know that Tony Beilenson, the center, is named after him, and that's because over 30 years ago he sponsored the legislation to create the Santa Monica National Recreation Area, and from that seed of an idea we're standing here today. So thank you for all that work and all the work you did in Washington when you were there.
You're very welcome. Just seeing this place as what it's become gives me so much satisfaction that I don't need the thanks, but the thanks are appreciated nonetheless.
I'm going to steal one more comment from a friend I heard just about 4 weeks ago. He said, what got us here isn't going to get us there. And this is the beginning of the rest of the history of the Santa Monica Mountains National Recreation Area, which your legislation helped us create.
But it's been a very good beginning and a big beginning, and it's turned out to be even greater and larger and more successful than we could have hoped in the beginning. But you're quite right. We've got a lot more to do, Dennis, and we'll do it together.
I hope we have good visitation. I hope we have good visitation. The new exhibits are phenomenal. They're educational yet fun. I think the kids will really love them as well as adults. So it's really nice that there's a nice balance between what the kids will enjoy and what the adults will enjoy.
Well, I think that's well said. And then also we have programs out here on the trails to enjoy every Saturday and Sunday. And if you go online to MRCA, you will be able to see what those programs are, and all you need to do is show up.
My favorite thing about the ranch is obviously the history, dating from the Chumash on to the present day. The reuse of this facility is just phenomenal. It's truly built to last, and it'll be here for a while.
The sun.
The sun? So you like to be outdoors, right? And educate him a little bit on the wilderness and the parks, right? See the trees.
I don't really know. I have lots of favorite parts. I don't really have one.
Oh, I think our favorite part was the fact that we were able to touch and interact in there. We could see the coyotes. We've had coyotes in our yard. We could see their coyote tracks. We got to see mountain lions and hear how they sounded. I mean, it was really amazing how kid-friendly this interpretive center is. It's just fantastic, right, Billy?
Well, I like the sound of the mountain lion.
Yeah, the sound of the mountain lion was great. And I like the talk about the fire, because I think that is such a real, a present danger for everybody living in the mountains. And they really addressed that in there. And the kids were able to see how it grows back. They showed a fire, and then they showed it 5 years later, 10 years later. So that was really educational for all the kids.
I would like to do the maze thing again.
Oh, he did the maze over there with the Rangers today. That was lots of fun.
Yeah.
They talked about tide pools from Leo Carrillo. What else did they talk about? Birds?
I talked about the birds and riding the horses and stuff.
Yeah. I think if we had an ideal day here, first of all, we got to hear about it from someone in the van on the way over here. They used to live on the property. So this was their entire backyard, which is incredible. But I think we'd like to pack a lunch and take a hike. We'd like to go up to the point up here and get the big view we've heard about. And we'd eventually like to actually go, we heard from the rangers over here that we can actually go on a trail from here to the beach. And so I think that sounds like the ideal day. Really get out and adventure and check it out and maybe see a rattlesnake or something fun.
Well, food and play is very good now. Well, we could do better stuff, and we like everything here, and it's very great. So go on.
Well, the visitor center is beautiful. They've done a great job, and I'm looking forward to bringing my students here next year. I think that the interpretive part of it is wonderful, showing the native animals and plants that live in the area. It's really well done. Definitely you want to get in a good hike, because the area there's 688 acres to hike on, so it's really beautiful. And also to get into the interpretive center and learn something new about the local habitat.
The Gillette Ranch site has a lot of history in it, from King Gillette himself, King Camp Gillette, from the Talapot village with the Chumash. So it's enriched with culture, diversity, and that's probably one of my favorite things about this site. Here at the ranch, you could go bird watching. It's a great place to go bird watching here. You see different birds all seasons long during migrations. You could go hiking to Inspiration Point or across the street to Malibu Creek State Park. So there's different things here, or you could just picnic. There's many things to utilize here at the new Interagency Visitor Center. They could come to our trip planner, our digital screen, where they could figure out where they want to go sightseeing, hiking, vista viewing, all sorts of different things. Or they could just come and learn about the resources we have here, the natural resources, the cultural resources. Or they could just come and see a program, storytelling, every Tuesday, I believe. We have storytelling for children and families, and they could also come here to get our catalog of the outdoors, and that's where we have a 3-month calendar that comes out, and we just hold programs in there where people could get more information on our sites and programs. There's a lot of trails that link with each other around the Santa Monica Mountains. The most notorious one, the most famous one that everybody seems to be interested in is the Backbone Trail, and that trail leads up to urban area LA and ends in Point Magoo State Park, and that's the backbone of the whole Santa Monica Mountains. As far as wildlife, mountain lions are in the area, but they're very nocturnal and they're not very prestigious in people's views, but they could see coyotes, bobcats, different birds again, hawks, wildflowers. They could see the Humboldt lilies out here on certain trails, which is one of my personal favorites. Yeah, so come visit us here at King Gillette Ranch at our new Interagency Visitor Center. Our hours are from 9 to 5 every day, open 7 days a week, only closed on federal holidays.
Hey, 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 young Lua. 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 Hey, hey, hey,
Thank you for watching CTV, the Calabasas channel.